What's up, YouTube? All right, y'all, we are back with another video, and as you can see by the title, today we have a very special guest. Drum roll, please. It is my husband. It's the scooching in. All right, so y'all already know, well, y'all probably see my iPad now. If you see me looking down, I'm looking at my handy dandy iPad for the questions. He does not know what I'm about to ask him. I did ask him, what was this, a couple days ago, if there were anything off limits, and he was like, no. So I'm like, all right. So I was like, baby, you can see him, don't look. Okay, so the very first question that I have, when did you begin therapy?
2020.
2020?
Yeah, during COVID. COVID 2020, I believe that was my first time.
In therapy?
Yeah, first time in therapy, 2020. I can't remember the month or nothing.
So, prior to going to therapy, what were your thoughts on therapy? So, like, not necessarily your thoughts, but like, what was your perspective on it?
I believe it can help because the profession I want to get into, and I want to get into, but I wasn't really open to going into it though, for real. Like, I never really thought like, oh, I need to go and do therapy or nothing like that. So I ain't really have thoughts on going to do it, but I believe it can help some people. Just I never thought to go and do it for myself.
Okay. But speak a little bit on your profession that you want to go into, since you said that.
I want to go into psychology, but don't know exactly what. Maybe social work, something helping children, school-age children, or from maybe preschool to high school. I don't know yet. That's just the beginning of it. That's basically what I'm looking at right now.
Okay. So you said your thoughts prior to going to therapy. So then, what were your thoughts once you started going to therapy?
When I first started, honestly, the first guy that I went to, he was different. He wasn't bad, I wouldn't say, like, because it just, for me, it seemed like more so he was interested in my life than helping, like asking questions about my life or whatever. And I don't know, that maybe that goes into therapy, how he wanted to do it, but I mean, it was a cool experience because it made I wanted to go back, so I can't say it was too bad or whatever, but I just feel like he was more so interested in my life, like the things you ask about and stuff like that, and how you was asking. So my first thoughts was more so like he interested in my life, and so I don't really feel like I got the help I needed for real.
So when you say interested in your life, you mean like you feel like he was kind of like over indulging, almost like just
so it was just like certain things I would share with him, and instead like I came to him about certain things or whatever, and so I guess getting into the root of it, he went deeper into certain aspects of what I was talking about and would ask questions about that, and just like his responses and how he would act and all of that stuff. He was more so onto that, and then once we get back into like, okay, the reason I came, he always found the way to go back into the other stuff or whatever. So I just felt like he was more focused on that, and then just afterwards, like the projects or like homework or whatever he gave me to do had nothing with what he was asking me.
Right, I get that. My next question is, what types of therapy or like therapy settings have you done?
Personal and couples.
Okay, so we started couples counseling when?
That was 2020 as well.
It was 2020, yeah. Because we were engaged February 2020 and started counseling like a month later, I think.
It wasn't too soon afterwards. I can't remember exactly. I'm not good with the months. I just remember the time frame and stuff like that. But it wasn't too far after.
Yeah, I feel like it was like we got engaged, boom, couples counseling.
Yeah.
What do you feel like you've received from both? Like, what setting do you feel like you were able to grow more in? Do you feel like you grew more in both settings? Would you recommend both settings? That was actually another question.
With settings, like you saying, like personal and
counseling,
Zoom.
as well as going to couples counseling.
I've grown in both, and I would. You want me to explain them, or?
Yeah.
So I've grown. So first of all, I've grown in both, and I would suggest them both. I believe they're very much needed for everybody. You know, some people. I mean, at least try it. It may not help you, but for like as far as personal goes, it went. I had 3 different counselors, 4.
I think I had this 3. Yeah.
Yeah, 4, and they were all, you know, I got a lot from all 4 of them. Well, I got a lot from all 4 of them because the one, my my second one, he just felt like I had the game and gone with it or whatever.
Right.
He was just like, you alright, you'll be alright in life or whatever. But
Right.
you know, they all taught me a lot on, you know, looking at how to look at some things or whatever, and just helping me throughout life or whatever with controlling my temper. Just looking at things from different perspectives and all of that stuff, as well as couples counseling too, just helped me to, like in relationships, slow down, think about the other person first or whatever, and listen.
Yeah.
Actually listen and not just listen to respond, but listen to hear what the person is saying too. So they teach, like I've learned a whole lot from it. I feel like I've grown. Have I grown?
Yeah. I hope so. No, but no, you have. Yeah.
From both of them.
Yeah, I think that I forgot who I was telling this to, but saying that like I feel like we benefited the most, I feel, from going to therapy separately as well as going to couples counseling. Because like in couples counseling, you there for the couple. You ain't talking about your personal stuff, your you know, the stuff that you got going on just outside of, you know, your relationship and stuff. Even though we won, but it's still like we, you know, and so like I was telling people like, look, go to therapy for yourself, but also go to couples counseling so that you're able to like, you know, just get a better understanding. And like you say, I feel like for me the best thing that I learned was like with getting someone else involved, it's like they could hear you from better because they're not like listening to you with ears that have been, you know what I'm saying, like
just listening because
they ain't got no hurt from the situation basically, or like they're not involved in
biased and none of that.
Yeah, no bias, no none of that. And so like, and vice versa, like me not understanding you, and they're like, hey, like, look, he's saying this, you know what I'm saying?
Somebody could, you know, the outside person can better put both of them together.
Exactly. So I definitely feel like both are needed, like at the same level. Like,
and on top of that, in a relationship, you can't be good in a relationship if you ain't good to yourself.
Right.
If you ain't healed, if you yourself ain't good for yourself, you dang sure can't be good for nobody else. So.
Right. Oh, wait a minute. Let's talk about that for a minute. So 2020, we were dating for a long time prior to that.
Like a lifetime.
Seriously, we were dating for a very long time, and like we waited to 2020. I ain't gonna necessarily say waited, like, because it was never something that we thought about doing. Like, we didn't think about going to therapy, which is crazy because both of us literally want, like, or becoming therapists and counselors and things like that. But we never thought about like actually going to therapy prior to 2020. That's 3 years ago, and we have been dating for a very long time. And what do you feel like was that point where we was like, all right, let's work on this, or we felt like, all right, let's talk to someone else, let's get somebody else involved to fix our relationship or work on our relationship?
I believe first it was just looking to be married. Like once we, you know, I proposed, you said I do or whatever. I think we came together.
I say
like,
yes.
Yeah, but once that happened, I believe like we both came together. Like, you know, we need that couples counseling, we need blessing, and we need, you know, we also said we needed the, you know, blessing from the church pastor and all of that stuff. So I mean, with that just being like, want to be successful, want to be a successful marriage or whatever, and then, you know, problems, and then you want to. For me, I believe it was, you know, us having problems and actually wanting the relationship to work.
Right.
good and not just be all, I don't know the word what I'm looking for, but just be
happening or existing.
Yeah, existing, just something.
And not thriving.
Yeah, and not
type
thriving.
stuff.
And
Yeah.
not really loving each other and wanting to be around each other and all that stuff, and not just being together because we got kids and we got married.
Right.
That's no good way to live.
Right.
So I believe for me that's what pushed us to do all of that.
Yeah, same. I think my biggest thing was like, we had another thing. I feel like we tried a lot of stuff. Like that's one thing I gotta say in our relationship. Like we'll sit down. I don't like this. I don't agree with this. We need to change something. And like we kept revisiting time and time again. So we were just like, look, if we finna go into this marriage, we need to go into there with a great understanding of one another, a great understanding of ourselves. So let's get them folk up in our business, basically. Yeah. Okay. This is a good question. I feel like, did you see any men going to therapy? Like, and you could, I was gonna say you could literally do any like time frame in your life.
I don't know. I didn't know no man personally that I could think of that's ever told me that they were going to counseling. All the way up until, around these times, I got one friend that goes to counseling regularly.
Mm-hmm.
Besides him, I don't know personally. I'm trying to think. Nobody.
Mm-hmm.
Just one man.
Yeah. And this is recently.
Yep.
Yeah. So do you feel like that tarnished your view of therapy, or do you feel like
Nah,
it
it didn't. That's like what I'm saying.
do you feel like it hindered you from going? Like not seeing people go to therapy, do you feel like that had contributed to you not ever feeling like you needed to go, or that was just all?
Well, I mean, of course, if you see people doing stuff become the norm, so that's something you would look to do or whatever. That's just with life. But I don't feel like it hindered me or nothing like that because, like I say, I've always been interested in it. So
Right.
it just was never a thing for me because, I like, okay, I know about this profession. I know this, that, and the third. I know it can. I know it can't help or whatever. But also growing up the way you do, you don't look at that. And then it's like, not a thing for black men to go and talk to somebody else about their problems. You just keep it in to yourself. So it really never clicked to me. So it was never no judgment toward it. Even though I wanted to be in a profession, it never really clicked to me to actually go and do what I want to be and to help people. Maybe that could help me get over certain things that I'm stuck on in life.
Yeah.
It just never clicked. Yeah.
So then my next question is, what were your expectations prior to going to therapy? Like this is like when you signed up for therapy, you were waiting on your first appointment. Like what were your expectations prior to going, and then what do you feel like the realization of therapy is in your life? And of course it's gonna be personal. Like I always say therapy ain't no one size fit all type of thing. So like,
Yeah. I didn't have any expectations going in at all.
For real?
No, cause
I did.
I don't. I always
Yeah.
I don't
That's true.
anything expecting anything because I hate to be disappointed.
Right.
I'd rather be surprised,
Yeah.
But so I just went in like, if it helps, it helps. If it don't, it don't. I really didn't care at the time.
Right.
Where I was at with it. I was more so. I was more so just wanting to see if it would help because where we were and where I was in life.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm just trying anything right now to help me move forward in life. So it's like, if it does, it does. If it don't, it don't. I tried this, on to the next thing.
Yeah.
So it was that. And then when I went, after my first time going, I had a little relief. You know what I'm saying? And just after talking to him and stuff and just hearing an outsider say things or whatever, and then, the guy was white or whatever, and me telling them my business or whatever, and he just kind of like, all right, I got these problems, I had these problems as well, and this is how I solved them, but hey, I think you should do this, or I think you should do that, and just getting different outlooks. And so, like I said, I came home, I showed you the paper or whatever, and you were open to it, and so I felt like, for me, with you being open to the problems that I had at home that dealt with exactly you, being open to it, that helped me, you know what I'm saying, accept it more. And then I talked to my mother, whatever, she accepted, that helped me accept it more. So that gave me a little more
support.
Yeah, support, and just willing to go through
Yeah.
with it or whatever. But I wasn't just sold on it. I wasn't just sold on it. I went again, it was cool. And so now I just feel like, for me, and it's just me, and I ain't trying to sell my profession or nothing. I
Yeah.
just feel like counseling is necessary.
Yeah, for
Like,
sure.
but you know what I'm saying? Like you say, it's not for everybody.
Right.
Everybody got their own thing, whatever. But I just feel like if you tried and it's not for you, but this don't go one time, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? At least try, give it a couple tries, fill it out or whatever. I mean, I don't want to just like throw it in. So like, you know, I had a drinking problem and I went to AA meetings. Never worked for me.
Yeah.
It didn't help me. It made me feel bad or whatever. It just gave me
Yeah.
anxiety. It made me want to drink more or whatever. So I don't know. I just didn't do AA meetings. So like, and like with alcoholism, people push that on you.
Right.
You really get that pushed on you,
Yeah.
and it's not for everybody. So like, it's not for everybody, but for me, I feel like it's necessary.
Yeah, and I spoke about that in my last video. Like, I had the group setting for my very first therapy. Hated it. Like, and I don't even like to use the word hate, but like, I left worse than when I went. Literally, because like, just hearing the stories from people, I was like, you know what? Also, you had said something like the first therapist you had was white.
Mhm.
The first therapist I had was white too.
Mhm.
What do you feel like? Okay, you have a black therapist now. Do you feel like there's a difference?
Yeah, I feel like that.
Yeah. Speak on that a little bit.
So like I said earlier, I feel like with the guy, he probably wasn't, but at the same time, he probably was. I mean,
Yeah.
he was more interested in my lifestyle growing up and things and problems that I had, and just hearing about things that goes on where I came from, as opposed to my therapist now. She's more so focused on this is what you're coming to me about. This is what I see. It ain't about. She's not about no. Oh, tell me about this and tell me about that and tell me not just giving me solutions. I tell her about it, then she finds a solution, and then she tries to work it out. And I feel like it's more so she's here to listen and help. I'm not saying that he wasn't there to listen and help, but, and I'm not trying to seem like, you know, certain type of way. I just feel like he was more so interested in hearing that type of stuff because I mean,
he wasn't used to that.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Some black people do grow up interesting.
Yeah.
Like, it's interesting. Like, some white people, and he told me, he was like, man, the last close person I had to pass for me was my great grandma, or great grandma, or whatever. And she was like 80 years old, and after that, he can't even tell me who.
Yeah.
Like, people around certain races and certain people, they just, you know, they don't
go through certain traumas.
As opposed to, you know, people like us who, our best friend, we 16 years old, get killed.
Right.
Then your lady, your cousin get killed. Then, you know what I'm saying, your brother get killed and stuff like that. So that's interesting to and the way you live and stuff.
Yeah, I when all of like the Black Lives Matter and stuff like that came about, and like a lot of the protests that were happening, what was that, 2021 I want to say, I remember just being so grateful that like I had a black therapist, because it was like, man, imagine me having to explain my feelings to a white person, and not saying that they're incapable of understanding it. I'm not saying that at all, because you have some great white therapists and counselors and things like that. But for me, it was important that like if I came up in here on this couch overwhelmed from the protests and the week, I don't want to have to explain it to you. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. Like that was a huge like just weight lifted off my shoulders. I feel like during that time, like I could go in there and she could understand it already. You know,
it's just like you say, certain traumas, like sometimes some people could directly resonate with, as opposed to a person you're talking to and they really don't understand it, and it's kind of more so it comes off as sympathy. Yeah. And I don't think that really, if you're feeling that way, and it may not be that way, but
I didn't have this on my notes, but you did speak on losing people, and it just made me realize too, like we lost a lot of people back to back in a certain time frame. Do you mind me sharing?
Mm-hmm.
You do
No, I
mind me
don't.
sharing? Oh, okay. I'm sure like,
Go
hold on. You said it like, okay. But, so we had just had our daughter in December. Actually, we had a Christmas Day, 2014. She was born early. Few months later, April 2015, so this is like 4 months later, my dad passed away suddenly, literally out of nowhere. And then we buried my dad like first week of May. A couple days later, your granddad passed. Right after we buried my dad. Then, that was May. June, your brother gets murdered. So this is April, May, June of the same exact year. 2015. Turn around 2017. My sister passes in July. My grandmother passes in October. 2015, 2017. So within 2 years, that's 5 people.
Right.
That's a lot of people. And
Oh.
we did not go to therapy.
Okay. Just. Alright.
Exactly.
Keep living, life goes on, type stuff.
And we straight had that mentality, like, oh, just keep pushing, as if it was like robots almost.
Because that's how we grow up. That's
Yeah.
how we grow up, and that's how I think it's just how we wired to live.
Yeah.
Especially most black people. You know what I'm saying? It just happens,
Yeah.
you know?
And I
That's how we
remember
live.
going to therapy and like all of that stuff just started coming out that I had no clue that I was suppressing. I'm thinking like my day to day, like, oh, it is what it is. We just got to do what we got to do. Was like coping or dealing with the problem, but I felt I wasn't dealing with it at all. Like that stuff was just getting suppressed, and once the pot boiled over, it was like
that goes to like. Have you noticed like we get older? This is how I look. We're getting older, and we feel like, dang. As we get older, all these people got anxiety. You know what I'm saying? People ain't have anxiety or nothing like that as we think. But I'm thinking like once you talk to older people, like they be like, yeah, I had that problem too.
Yeah.
I just feel like once you suppressing all of that stuff, it's got to come out somewhere.
Yeah.
And they come out, whether it be anxiety, anything like that. And I just think that once you deal with so much and we get to a certain age, it just come out as anxiety or whatever it's gonna come out as, and then we think it's we don't know what's going on. I just feel like if we go talk to somebody, you get that out, you get those feelings out. You may have guilt towards that past and anything. I just feel like going to therapy got some guilt out for me and all types of stuff that I felt like I knew I had in, because like I say with that, but I just felt like I know, brother, going to counseling, it helped me move past that.
Yeah.
Like without counseling, I know I'd still be there. I'd probably still be
doing the same
drinking,
old.
sad all the time, anxiety attacks, just not living.
Yeah.
For real.
And I feel like it teaches you that like your triggers are not gonna leave.
Yeah.
You just gonna learn how to deal with them.
So,
You'll be less triggered.
Yeah.
You know. Let's see. One more question, I guess. What I really had two, but I lost one. I'm so mad because it was a good one too. Dang it. What would you like basically tell young men, young black men especially, like what would you tell them about therapy?
Give it a try. Definitely give it a try, and just don't be peer pressured into not doing it or feel like you're less of a man for going to talk to somebody that you don't know about whatever problems, like, because we're wired and we're just raised to suppress our feelings, hold it in. If you bring it all out, you a punk. No, talk about your problems. Like, talk about it to somebody. Even if you don't go to a counselor, find somebody that you really could confide in and talk your problems out.
And who would tell you the truth?
Who will tell you the truth. That ain't just her to just be on your side. Like her, like my wife, my mother, they told me the truth all the time, no matter what it was, would tell me the truth. Like, so find you somebody like that. If you even try counseling and it don't work for you because you just don't trust people. And if you don't trust that person, try another person. Like she said, you went to 4. I tried 4 as well. Took my last one. We both see the same person as well.
Yep.
And she worked wonders with both of us or whatever. So just don't give up on it. And I see a lot of people nowadays, especially the newer generation, they do counseling and all of that
Yeah,
stuff. So,
that's amazing.
yeah, that's amazing for real. But just, try it. And don't just hold those things in.
Okay, y'all, my phone storage is full, completely full, so we have to record on my husband's phone. And baby, if you see a little difference in the quality,
I mean, it gets better. That's about it.
I'm just playing.
If it's on
That was
better
petty.
for a couple minutes.
Period. But okay, were you done with the advice?
Yep.
Okay, I told him off camera that I finally
believe I
remembered.
was.
You think so?
Yeah.
I told him off camera that I finally remembered the question I was gonna ask him. And what it was is I have all of these theories, right? That you know how I get.
Right.
I have all of these theories where I feel like people in the hood, right? We see so often. It's unfortunate, but like drug addicts, alcoholics, people who just literally, who you just see, that's all they do all day long. My theory is that they legit deal with depression and anxiety or some type of mental, illness. I don't really like to use that word, but it is what it is, and they haven't gotten the help for it. What you think?
I believe that to be true, but
Not everybody, but
yeah. But like everybody, any black person to say every black person got some untreated trauma and all type of stuff. They depressed. It's just stuff going on that we learn to deal with. But I also just think some people just they get caught into stuff like that. You get caught into drinking. You get caught into smoking. You get caught into doing all these type of drugs, popping pills and stuff, and it becomes fun. And then your body makes it a habit too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like when I was younger, started drinking and going to clubs, whatever. I didn't drink a lot, but then I started going to clubs a whole lot, and I just drank all the time. I wasn't depressed for real like that. Like before my granny passing and all of that stuff, that's when that was my first real thing, like feeling depressed or whatever. But before that, I was still drinking a lot. But I was always going to the club. I was always trying to have fun, trying to do all this, that, and the third. So I wasn't like depressed like that. I was just having fun. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But who's to say I wouldn't have started, like if my granny hadn't passed away, she did. I don't know if I would have kept drinking the way I did either. You know what I'm saying? So with my granny passing, that really just drove me into just drinking, and I feel like that's what drove my problem. As opposed to just doing it just because I like
out of
drinking.
habit or out of fun.
But some people just start doing it. But like I know a lot of people, I believe, it's a lot of untreated stuff that people have going on or whatever, just every day, man. Like a lot of like you say, people doing crack. A lot of them don't even have houses, so shoot, you gotta live 24 hours out on the streets. What you gonna do? You gonna drink or something? Or people don't want to go home every day, so I'm finna drink. Then when I go home, I'm sloppy drunk, and then wake up, do it all over again because they're not happy at home or what's their situations and stuff like that. But I also think just constantly doing something over and over, your body get used to it and need it, and so you can't stop doing that because if you do, you having all these anxiety attacks. You can't, you know what I'm saying? Eat, you lose appetite and all of that stuff too. So I believe for the most part, though, honestly, it's got to do with like depression and stuff.
Yeah. Trauma. People who literally like lost their minds. Like, and people say that in like a joking way, like, oh, you done lost your mind, but like people out here really losing their minds, and I don't think people really, don't get me wrong, therapy, mental awareness is becoming more like in the limelight and stuff. However, I don't think people know like the full extent of it. I really don't. But yeah, thank you so much.
You ain't have no more questions?
You want me to ask you some more?
Nah, you said you had two.
No, remember I asked you the last one. What would you tell?
The younger self. Do you say you just remember that? And, you said
and then it was that one.
You said you remember the question.
I thought it was that one. Like, don't you? That's my theory.
But you remember? Oh, it was your theory. What was the other question?
I had said I have two questions, and I said I'm gonna just ask you one though, because
that was what you remember.
Yeah.
I thought you remember that when we were setting the phone up for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know why we still recording.
I don't know. But yeah, I tell you all the time, I don't feel like I've told you lately how much I thank you though during that time that I dealt with depression and anxiety, postpartum depression and anxiety, and how you, because you had already went through it though.
Yeah.
Like you had dealt with like anxiety attacks and stuff before I knew like really what that was.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you
we
heard
found-
about it and
yeah,
stuff.
we found out together though.
Yeah. And like next thing you know, when I had Chunky, and then it was just like everything just coming out and stuff, and just a constant back and forth, trying to find a therapist, going to the hospital, thinking something wrong, like just all those nights with a newborn baby at that who had just had surgery. It was just so much around that time, and like you never made me feel like really. Can we finish this video real quick? Thank you. You never made me feel like I was a burden, one, or that like something was wrong with me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you always was just extremely supportive, and that's what I say. Like I'm not just you, but my mama. How my aunts just came in. Oh, Rico gotta get back to work. Okay, cool. We gonna be here, and I feel like support is
Definitely needed.
yes needed and number one when dealing with stuff.
Somebody, man.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't though, but
Right.
that's sad, and that's where therapy come in.
Yeah. Yep.
And that outlook group you said, that could be your support too.
Yeah.
Just because it didn't work for you, it worked for somebody else.
Truthfully, yep. Because a lot of people in there was actually that was in that first group setting that I was in. A lot of them were like great with that. Like they loved I went 3 times a week for 3.5 hours a day.
That's a lot.
Yeah. that's
Yeah, that's your family.
yes.
Your new family. for
And
real,
like
but
they
that-
used to be so happy to come, and I was just like, baby, this ain't it.
buddy.
This ain't the one for me. But yeah, I hope I'll end up thinking of something else after. You got anything? What?
I don't got nothing. I don't get interviewed.
Nah.
Get to start talking about my podcast. I'm gonna plug myself.
Period.
I ain't got no podcast.
I'm done. All right, child. Well, as always, thank you so much for tuning in. If you could please give this video a thumbs up.
Like, share, subscribe.
Period. And what was I about to say? And then also comment if y'all want to hear more from Rico. He don't know it yet, but if y'all like this video, baby, and say y'all want more Rico, but not too much. Not too much, nah.
I got my own stuff going on.
Not too much though. But if y'all want to see more of my chocolate husband up on this screen, and y'all like his input, y'all like his perspective on things, comment that. Let me know, and I bribe him some way, shape, or form to get him back on this channel, y'all. But until next time, peace. Tell my folks peace.
Peace.
All right.
Until next time.
All right.
If I come back.
Don't play with me.
I'm saying if they want me, they might not even
Yeah.
want me back.
Yeah.
I won't be mad at y'all.
Yeah. All right. We finna stop this, y'all, so you can send me this video so I can get to editing.
You ain't got enough space on your phone.
I'm finna delete some stuff. You gonna send it to my laptop? All right, y'all, for real.